Hello, good evening, and welcome back. This general election will not give any clarity on Brexit from Caroline Lucas, and she's of course the Green MP leader, standing in Brighton, I believe. So her thought now is, our side might be losing, therefore it won't give any clarity on Brexit. Whereas obviously if the Lib Dems win, then they've said, we're not actually going to give another vote because the election counts as saying that the people actually don't want to stay in the... people do want to stay in the European Union and they don't want to go ahead with Brexit. So they would take that as saying, yes, well, we're elected. In that case, we will remain in the European Union. The thing is, of course, seeing as we have already voted at this point, it's like, well, we have to see through what we voted on. Why are you trying to mangle this all up in other things? And why don't you just do what you're told as public servants are supposed to do? The clue is in the name. A public servant. You serve the public. You seem to have forgotten about that. She says, so the die is cast. Opposition parties have nearly all been won around, and there will be a general election on December 12th. Plenty of comments about Turkey's voting for Christmas and speculation about which parties will benefit from this early poll. Well, of course, the Brexit Party and the Conservatives, and as I mentioned last time with Leave.eu, they're developing an app for your tactical voting in order to decide should you vote for the Brexit Party or the Conservatives if you wish to get Brexit through. She says, one thing is clear, it will not resolve the Brexit crisis, which has paralysed our politics for the past 3 years. And I agree that it definitely should not have done, seeing as we have voted, and it should have been enacted by now. She says, a general election is what it says, general, covering a multitude of issues from the economy to education to the NHS to local campaigns. It will not deliver clarity on Brexit, or indeed on anything else. Well, in that case, have another election after that, why not? But seeing as government has reached a deadlock, because there's a minority government in Parliament, and therefore they can't pass anything, the only option is to call an election in order to try and get a majority, in order to then pass legislation, particularly about Brexit. So there was no choice here. You painted yourself into this corner, and now you're going to pay the price. Don't start a fight you can't win, and that's what you've done. She says, if we want a specific answer to Brexit, we need to ask a specific question. Yes, how about a referendum held June 23rd, 2016? And then June 24th will be our Independence Day. Yeah, June 24th, 2016, that was the day. And we knew, we voted to leave. And it hasn't happened. So it seems like that doesn't work for you either. And then we had an election after that to say, are we for Brexit? We still said yes. And it still isn't happening. So now we're having another election to say, are we for Brexit? And we're going to say yes again. But she complains further. Both the main parties, Labour and Conservative, have MPs who cover the full Brexit spectrum, from deep Euroscepticism to passionate Europhiles. If either of them end up with a majority, will we be any the wiser about national support for Leave or Remain? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we will when we see the Tories and the Brexit Party come out in force. And I do sympathise for UKIP because they'd be better if Brexit wasn't so much on the agenda, just because Nigel Farage is a force of nature. And if he were to get back with UKIP, of course, then it would be fine, but he's trying to distance himself from that. I guess he can't take the public eye anymore, as he's gone back on his previous statements, particularly about Islam. So they say, 10 days ago, 1 million people marched through London demanding a final say on Brexit. You don't mean that, do you? You mean another say until we get what we want, because losers' consent is not applicable to us. They weren't asking for a general election, they want a vote on Brexit. Nearly all opinion polls indicate that support for remaining in the EU is growing. The more Johnson's Brexit deal is scrutinised, the more people realise what a con it is, and the more they want a final say. Yeah, okay, vote in the Brexit Party, leave on WTA terms, no deal, crash out if you will. As long as people know what they're doing, we can be prepared for it. She goes on to say that Boris Johnson has... it has allowed him to conveniently take the spotlight off his failure to deliver Brexit by Halloween do or die. Yes, they failed 4 times now, the Conservatives, and as someone like Binary Surfer, the YouTube personality, says, that if you fuck me in the ass 4 times, I'm not going to trust you with a 5th. Even twice is enough for some people. The Lib Dems won one before Brexit because it hopes to scoop up votes in pro-Remain Conservative seats. No chance. The SNP too has its own internal reasons for wanting an early poll. Yes, and then Scotland wants to leave the UK for reasons of sovereignty to then join the EU in order to give that up again. well going on. And sure, get rid of Scotland, then we'll definitely be leaving the EU. And I'm all for Scotland being their own country as well, but it doesn't look good for them, seeing as the British Empire was even a net loss for England. When we push our reach out further, we tend to help people instead of castigate them. So, they say we now face the prospect of giving a huge platform to Johnson and Nigel Farage, political insiders dressed up as rebels. Not Farage, please. He's been going against the EU for 25 years. Whose main agenda is widespread chaos, in which division will. Not at all. Not at all. It's trying to go back to the individual so you actually know what to expect and can be responsible for your own future, which I know that people like her don't like. They would rather somebody else do it for them, and would rather the big government, even if it's from a different country or political entity. But she goes on to mention a brilliant thing, and I've got a tab just perfect, and I actually agree with her. There's another reason why a general election is not the way to resolve Brexit. The first past the post system consistently delivers a parliamentary majority to a political party which has only minority support. Even the Labour landslide of 97 was won with only 43% of the vote support. David Cameron secured his majority in 2015 with less than 37% of the vote. Yes, you can say Hitler rose to power with 33, but anyway. And they say, our broken and deeply undemocratic system delivers huge power to a party which does not have the support of most people in the country. That cannot continue. Yes, because if you do remember back to 2015, and if you don't, that's okay, I will show you. What we have here is the amount of seats won. 326 seats needed to win, and Tories did win out 331, just. A 12-seat majority, yep, so 36.9% of the vote, 37, yes, fair enough. Okay, UKIP won 12.6%, far more than 3.8% that she thinks, that she supports, and of course UKIP there being the third most popular. But if we look down to the number of seats that they earned, UKIP and the Green Party still had one, despite the Green Party having a little over 1 million, and UKIP having just under 4 million votes, 12.6% of the vote share, being the third most popular party. But by seats, the SNP had 56 seats, so that's 56 times as many as UKIP, despite having less than half the amount of votes. And you could say similar things for the Lib Dems and even the DUP, the Social Democratic and Labour Party, you know, all of these, any that are above UKIP, except for the top two, of course. But proportionally, yes, UKIP was screwed, which, as you might remember, led to the gentleman who did win his seat to say, okay, well, seeing as the budget is correlated to the amount of votes and not to the seats, then I have so much more money than anybody else. I am going to give it back to the government and kind of donate it, if you will, as an act of goodwill. That didn't help, because things like that, acts of goodwill and apologies, really depends on what your opposition's intent is, your opponent's intent. Because if they just want to take advantage of you and destroy you and dominate you, then if you don't apologise, they're going to see you as brutish, they're not going to question their own narrative. And if you do apologise, then they're going to think they were right for being mean to you in the first place and continue to try and dominate you because now you've claimed guilt. So, I would say be true to yourself. Some say don't apologise, and I would say, well, do. It really depends on what the circumstance is, but bear in mind your opponent's intent, but just be true to yourself. So she goes on to say, because of course she's Green Party, that the climate emergency is the biggest crisis. It isn't. That's all bullshit as far as I can see. The studies used, it's incredibly misleading. Even though 97% of scientists will know, that's just if you can infer a particular conclusion drawn from their studies, even though most of them you can't. So that's not true at all. But nonetheless, they decided to continue this narrative. Same thing for veganism. And as I said before, it's between what animals are responsible for between 2 and 52% of the pollution caused. And of course they consume some as well, so they offset other parts and they're required for plants to be grown. So let's not go down that rabbit hole, because hey, then that screws with their narrative. But hey, how about I agree with you on this? Let's start with getting rid of halal meat. How about that? No, I'm too libertarian for that. How about at least clearly label when something is halal, so the people who don't wish to support that animal cruelty can decide, actually I'm not going to support that. And it's ridiculous to me that some people have said, the people that I speak to, seeing as I live in a very diverse, or multicultural is a better word, because it's not diverse, it's segregated, in a diverse area, for some parts of Manchester and Rochdale, that apparently halal is kinder to the animals. It isn't, even the British Veterinary Association disagrees with that, as expedient as it is to say that Islam's kind, and Islam is clearly the best, unless you say Islam is right about women, in which case people then realise their own cognitive dissonance. But nonetheless, I will end with saying that she is saying, the Green Party have an idea, we know what to do, trust us, and we will enact this climate change policy. Thing is, they have got a lot of support with their ideas, similar to UKIP had. What this means is that it is brought into the main parties in order to take away those votes from the smaller parties in order to solidify their support for the larger parties. This is not good for the people who don't agree with it, and all the more reason why something like something other than first past the post would be good. Preferential voting, if you will, so you can say your first, second, third, and so on choice if you have them, so that you can actually see who has most of the support. And then you can also see which parties have overlapping support, which is also quite interesting. Not just as a poll, but when people are actually voting. And that might get more people to vote anyway, seeing as not many people do. But we will see. I look forward to this, and obviously it would be nice to change the voting style, but seeing as we did have a referendum on this just a few years ago, 2012 I think it was, 7 years ago, then it's not going to happen anytime soon, and I understand that. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you like the fact that I found common ground with a political enemy. And I will see you next time. Have a good one.